Home to the once bustling city of Welch and heart of the nation's coal bin, McDowell is now the third poorest county in the US. Especially over the last decades, the economic decline as well as healthcare disparities and challenges in the education system have become visible in McDowell County. By shining a light on community resilience as well as domestic community dynamics, I will try to provide some insight into the foreseeable future of McDowell County and also share some of the stories that locals have told me. This is McDowell County, West Virginia. Welch, that's where we're going. This is still Wyoming County, I believe, and we're about to head into McDowell County. A lot of railroads here for sure, and I'm almost certain that that is still from the times of the big boom of the coal industry. I just spoke to a woman at the Best Western in Beckley, and she said that the problem is not necessarily that there are no jobs, but the problem is that people don't want to work. She said the people are just, especially young folks, are on welfare checks, and we're going to be talking to people in person. We're going to be interviewing people in McDowell County, in Welch specifically. Driving into Welch, the county seat of McDowell, we passed many old, dilapidated houses, some of them close to collapsing. However, once we got into the city, we actually saw some really interesting and well-preserved buildings. As a matter of fact, the Commercial Historic District has been placed on the National Register of Historic Places in 1979. The most striking building of them all, however, is the McDowell County Courthouse. It sits on a hill just east of Wyoming Street and was constructed in 1893. The courthouse is actually quite famous for bearing witness to several historical events. In 1921, Matewan Police Chief Sid Hatfield and Deputy Edward Chambers were shot on the steps of the courthouse. Hatfield himself had an association with the unionization of miners in Mingo County, which is just adjacent to McDowell County. And he's also famously known for the Matewan Massacre. However, Hatfield and Chambers were not sent to court because of the Matewan Massacre, but rather sent to trial on conspiracy charges, allegedly on account of an arbitrary conflict that had taken place between Mingo and McDowell County. Then, on August 1st, 1921, as they were ascending the steps to the McDowell Courthouse, Hatfield and Chambers were brutally ambushed by several Baldwin Felts agents who killed them with several shots. If you go to the courthouse these days, you can still see the bullet holes on the steps. If you are interested in the labor struggles of the coal miners in West Virginia, I highly recommend you watch the movie Matewan. It's a pretty realistic depiction of the day-to-day life in a mining community and also of the Matewan Massacre. Personally, I've watched it and it's left quite a profound impression on me.
The McDowell County of 1960 was very different from the McDowell County that you would have seen when you visited. When I was born in the 60s, the area was still quite prosperous. In the 60s, there were 100,000 people in McDowell County, West Virginia.
Well, Daddy died a miner, Grandpa he did too. I bet this coal will kill me before my working days is through. In a hole that's dark and dirty, an early grave can find. I plan to make a union for the ones I leave behind. Stand up.
I would say it began with the mechanization of coal mining. The continuous miner was invented and deployed, and suddenly it didn't take as much labor to mine coal. And because it didn't take as much labor, there wasn't as much money flowing into the county to support the economy.
See, I've been working here over 30-some years, and I won't give it up because everybody said, when you going to quit? I said, I ain't going to quit. I'm going to quit and work as long as I can.
This is Miss Virginia Dickinson, magistrate clerk at the magistrate office in McDowell. I asked her about the coal industry and life in Welch. She also had something to say about the courthouse.
It was,
And the architecture is also really interesting, isn't it?
yeah, it is. It's very interesting. I love that. The courthouse, I think it's beautiful. I love that courthouse. It's been there for what? Gosh, long time. You know, you had people working in the stores and stuff, but most of the big money was coal mining. My husband used to work in there. My dad got killed in the mine in Keystone. Up, Keystone was one of the biggest mine in over Gary, and Keystone was the biggest mine around here. And my dad got killed in that mine in Keystone, and my husband used to work up there in Keystone.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's more dangerous out here now, just walking the street, really, than, you know, working in the mine, because the major drugs, people bringing this stuff in here and selling it for a little bit of nothing. That fentanyl is taking people out of here. A lot of people ODing on that fentanyl. Yeah, I saw last week this little girl come in here. She wasn't a little girl, but she looked like she was about 12 years old. She died. They Narcaned her and she come back to life. Narcaned her. She had died on that fentanyl. It was scary. And, you know, I thought about just a youngster, you know. Yeah, I did. I thought about that girl all night that night. I thought about her. But she looked like she was about 12 years old. It's sad.
My name is Roger Gibson. I'm the third, and I'm from a town in McDowell County called Yeager. Yeah, not one single, major societal effect didn't touch me growing up, like from start to finish at all. Everything that could have went wrong did go wrong and affected me, like personally as well. So yeah, I'm really empathetic towards their struggles, because that was my life. And as far as the opioid crisis, that was bad, but the opioid crisis has nothing in comparison to the crisis they have now, which is like meth and fentanyl. That that takes the cake, as the old saying goes. There's just not a lot of young people there anymore, If the kids there want a future, I hate to say it, but yes, they are going to have to leave. I do miss it greatly. I just miss Yeager because, you really know your neighbors. They're very caring people. My favorite mayor in all of the U.S. is the mayor of Yeager. So it's like I miss the community.
Communal spirit.
Yeah, that's what I miss. Like you're not gonna find that in a lot of other places. Like even, a mass majority of my family, they live on the outskirts of Charlotte, North Carolina. And even there, like that sense of community is much different. It's a smaller area, of course, but you're not gonna find it like anywhere. You'll find it in McDowell County. The sense of community I was talking about, but just as for how I would suggest helping the youth there, leave.
The people that are willing to work, they leave.
Yeah. I mean, you got to leave here if you want to work, get a job, especially young people.
You say there are no jobs here for people?
Not too many now. Stevens Correctional Center is a prison out there. And they hiring COs, but you can't get, a lot of people don't want to be COs, you know what I'm saying? But I feel now, I'm the type of person, I feel like if you got a family, you take care, you get a job and do whatever you can to take care of that family.
Whatever it takes.
That's whatever it takes. That's what I feel like it. But people don't. They don't. 1981, working on the hill, cleaning bathrooms. Then I came down here to the county commission and started working. I've been here since 2005.
2005.
Yeah.
And you still working? Or?
Yeah, I'm still working. Now look at these pictures. These pictures of some of the coal mine. There was a railroad station in Kimball. And then Vivian, there was a company store with the mine. This is a picture of Welch. This is Welch coal mine. That's Pocahontas coal.
And these are the coal camps?
Uh-huh.
Well, people from the factory, from the coal would be staying?
Yeah. That was right here, Welch.
And this says the company store.
Yeah, up in Upland. That's another little town.
And that is part of the coal mining system, is people would get their, what would they call them?
They used to have script. Didn't have them.
Script, yeah. They get their script, and they would only be able to shop at those company stores.
Yeah, I know what's
That
McDowell
looks
County
real
first
interesting.
courthouse. This is the first
This is the
courthouse.
first courthouse.
Right here.
It's a wood building, like a little cabin.
Yeah. And this is what they say, second courthouse.
Now they got a stove.
Yeah.
There's one of the very interesting things about West Virginia, about Appalachia, about McDowell County. People retain a very strong connection to the place. We tend always to think of it as home, even though I haven't lived there in 40 years. I think the reasons for that are complicated. An author who grew up in McDowell County once wrote that mountains imprint themselves upon the souls of those who know them as children.
Hey, you can. And
Oh, you
they talk
doing
about
Lucas?
Yeah, so that's Ern Rutherford. He's our he the one take care of all the extra stuff.
How you doing, sir? Yes, I'm permit officer, code enforcement, anything else the county needs.
So you said you've been gone for 10 years?
Yeah, I lived in Mercer County, Bluefield, West Virginia, about an hour and a half north. So I was gone for 10 years, and I spent a year in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Oh, Raleigh.
And I just moved back to McDowell County last year of 2022, October, and landed this job. So I get to help McDowell come back up from what it used to be. We need the industry with we need more jobs, but right now we're focusing on the tourism. I love McDowell. There are roughly 20,000 people left in the county, so relatively small county, but there's no place like McDowell. Once you get here, spend a few months, if you've never been around, you don't want to leave.
And you say it's also the people that are special to you?
Absolutely. You're not going to meet anyone else in McDowell County. The folks in McDowell County, they're just so special. They're going to help one another. You always hear their saying, they'll give you a shirt off the back. Everyone in McDowell County will. No matter if you're rich or poor, we have a lot of drug activity, which is a whole world at this point. I mean, neighbors, if I'm outside work and my neighbor's going to come around, he's going to help me cut my grass. I'm going to help him, fix pickup trucks, whatever. It's different life here. It's just got to get a little bit better. We got to give them something to come back to other than tourism.
Right.
So this is what I've always said, even living in Bluefield, West Virginia for 10 years. I love McDowell County during the summer because there's so much to do. Wintertime, it's boring. Right?
It's dreary, right?
Right,
Right.
But fall, the leaves are changing. It's beautiful. Springtime is beautiful. But yeah, so in the winter months, we need something else going on. Now the county commission, our administrator and myself and a few others, we're working on a new fitness center.
Right.
Coming to McDowell County. So, but yeah, McDowell County is a special place. And I'm glad to be a resident here, and I don't ever plan on moving again.
This is all closed. Almost no stores left here. Up the road, a few miles from Welch, lies the small town of Kimball, West Virginia. Incorporated in 1911, it's part of McDowell County and, as of 2020 census records, has 145 people living in it. Markella is the owner of Yasu Greek Restaurant in Kimball. She told us about the historic floods that hit town in 2001 and 2002, and also about the challenges that her family and the community had to overcome. So as you were just saying, the floods were, to Kimball, the reason that the town lost its viability.
That's pretty much.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
And you were saying to the point that people who have lost almost everything, they did not want to stay anymore, so they had moved on.
And the ironic thing was they called that the 100-year flood. 10 months later, they had the 200-year flood. We had rebuilt, we had a building next door, and I had rebuilt and was getting ready to open. So I had a little sandwich shop ready to go in a building that my parents owned next door. Again, 10 months later, that flood knocked that building off of its foundation and all the new stuff with it. All it needed was the food product in there.
Wow.
And a month before that happened, I lost my dad to dementia and bacterial pneumonia attributed to being in that floodwater the first time. And so he didn't live to see this, but my mother did. And she lived about 4 years and was my little pie maker, potato peeler, and would beat me downstairs to open up and do what she needed to do at the age of like 87. The second time she and I were in Bluefield had gone to the doctor, so we weren't here.
The destruction in the Whitesville-Sylvester area is evident even from thousands of feet in the air. Here you can see mobile homes surrounded by water. Some people were stuck in their homes for hours until the water receded or rescue crews arrived. In Pineville, a bridge is barely standing as debris from the river is piled high, ripping through the bridge and making it impassable. Entire city blocks have been destroyed by mud and water, and the view from the ground is unbelievable.
How much can people really take? How much are you willing to tolerate before you say this?
Right. See, that's what happened. The folks that didn't leave the first time, there were a lot of them that the second time they said, you know, we're done. And that's caused some of the demolition of some of the buildings that were here on the main street. And once that building is demolished, we can't put it back. My son is working pretty hard. He is I don't know if they told you, he's the mayor here now. And I have to share this when he decided, we were both on the city council fighting to keep the town going. No financial. Once we lost that Walmart, that was the big B&O, and you know, we don't have anything to work with. This is going to be tough, and you want to run for mayor. And his answer made me feel about that big. His answer to me was, Mother, I care, and I think I can make a difference.
So that is what also maybe should be portrayed more, that there is hope and that there is a spirit to keep the communities going in McDowell County.
Yes.
And I think people like your son are main factors that would help aid this process.
I hope so, and I think so. And, you know, I have hope for the coal mining industry. I think we're headed in not a very good direction with some of the electric cars and so forth, those things, as far as the mining industry is concerned.
So you think coal is coming back?
I hope so. I don't know if I think so, but I hope so.
Well, I mean, there's maybe a hope also that a different industry, could you see a different industry moving into the area?
I would hope so. Open to any ideas anybody may have.
When things were booming, nobody felt the need to invest in the diversification of the economy. Mm-hmm. People felt we're going to be mining coal here forever. And when the 80s came along, it was too late. It was too late to try to diversify the economy. Now I know there's a concerted effort to attract tourists to the beautiful mountains. ATVs, all-terrain vehicles, are now very popular there. And I think there's been some success, but it's very difficult to imagine the area ever becoming what it was.
Tourism is on the upswing now with the ATVs, and some of the folks coming from other places with the four-wheelers and the ATVs and so forth. So yeah, that's an improvement.
That might be something, because it doesn't depend on resources as much as the coal industry. And a lot of folks, I think, are also seeking this sort of remote lifestyle away from the cities.
Yes.
I already got it kind of that you are going to stay here, but why is that, may I ask?
My heart is here. I don't know how to explain that. I did leave for a short period of time when I graduated from high school. Let me back up and tell you, my father was an indentured servant on a merchant marine ship, and he came here from Greece. Came from poverty. So he indentured himself to save my grandmother's home on an island called Hughes. And he was 3.5 years on this merchant marine ship as an indentured servant. And when his indentureship was over, he was in Providence, Rhode Island. Now, he came here with the intentions of working in the coal mines. And the gentleman that had put an ad in the newspaper, the Greek newspaper that my dad answered, had been hurt in a mine accident with Jake Jones. His name's on his father.
Yeah.
And the rest is kind of.
Yes, sir.
He told my dad, he said, "You're a fine man, and I give you my permission to marry my daughter and never to work in the coal mines."
Because you were scared, right?
So my dad was tough, and quitting was not in his vocabulary, which is why I didn't stay on really. I'll get back to that, but what happened, when he married my mother, they told him he could apply for citizenship because he married an American citizen, and my dad told him no. And then when my oldest brother was born, they said he could apply for citizenship because he married an American citizen. My dad told him no again. So the Department of Immigration and Naturalization said, "Well, we need to know what your intentions are. You can't just keep doing this and stay here." And my dad said, "My intentions are these, first and foremost, to learn to speak English, to study history, study government, take the test on my own power, not on the skirt tails of my wife or my infant child." Late 1947, the gentleman that was the mayor of the town took my dad to Logan, West Virginia. My dad took his test on his own and passed it. My dad was very tough. They were very determined. So was my mother and my grandparents. But my dad did not allow us to start something and then drop it or quit.
It was not an option.
Right. So when I left here, I graduated high school, decided I wanted to leave McDowell County and to better myself or whatever. And he told me, he said, "Now you know if you go, you're going to see this through." I said, "Yes, sir." So I went to beautician school and left the hills of West Virginia for New York City. So that was a big deal back then. And I spent a couple of years there and was very unhappy. And I had an incident where a gentleman had a seizure on the subway platform, and the girls and I were going to this show. Now, this grandfather that was hurt in the mine accident had seizures from this mine accident, so I wasn't afraid of that. So I bent down and put my jacket under his head and was patting his hand and telling him everything's going to be okay. And the girls were like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I think I'm comforting this man." And they said, "Not in New York City, you don't. You're going to get your throat cut. Let's go." Not that I'm down in New York City. That was,
I hear what you're
that
saying.
kind of stuck with me. And we stepped over this man and went on about our business. Got on the subway, went to the show or whatever. That evening I called home and my oldest brother answered the phone and I said, "When you come up here to our cousin's wedding next month, can you have room to take some stuff? I'm going to send some stuff to Mom." And he said, "Well, what are you sending to Mom?" And I said, "My stuff." And I'd already finished school and I was working, so I knew that I was fairly clear because this wasn't quitting. I had a job I was working. And he said, "Have you talked to Mom and Dad about that?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Why not?" And I said, "Because I'm afraid they'll try to talk me out of it."
Right.
Because everybody thought there would be nothing here in years, so it was like, kind of get out of here and do something. So he put my dad on the phone. And when he did, my dad started crying when I told him what I wanted. He said, "I've been waiting a long time to hear that." And I said, "Well, I could have shortened your wait if I'd have just known that, because I have not been happy here." So people think, I'm here because I don't know better. No, I've tried different, I just didn't like it. The rest of that story is this gentleman that was in a mine accident, my grandfather,
Yes.
lost his sight completely from this mine accident. So that has me a little bit mixed emotions about the mines, but I don't have a problem with that. But he worked this place the last 15 or so odd years of his life totally blind. And the way I say it was West Virginia Grocery, and I say he was the West Virginia Grocery greeter long before Walmart ever thought about putting somebody. He would sit toward the door, and people that came in to buy their groceries or shop knew him. He knew their voice. He would help them carry their groceries out, just do the things he could do. But they were tough, and they didn't give up.
Despite his disability, he still carried on.
Absolutely.
Very courageous.
Absolutely. And there's nothing like being in a little town like this. You go, it's quiet, it's deserted, there's nobody here. But just to give you a little idea, we had an incident, I guess it's been maybe a month ago. One of our city workers was up here trimming weeds and had a seizure and fell off that, or was falling off that hillside. When I realized what was going on, I went running through here, grabbed that radio, and started saying I needed help here. And I want to tell you, it probably wasn't a minute and a half to maybe 2 minutes that I had 20 people standing out here to help me.
Wow.
Between our fire department, neighboring fire departments, folks that just saw it, the people that were in here that came out to help us and try to break his fall and keep him from falling. You don't get that in the city. It's different here. It's different here. Like I said, for me to get on that radio and say I need help and turn around and see this whole group of folks out here that care to try to help, you can't beat that. And that's typical McDowell County.
The sense of community I was talking about, but just, I wish you could have met the mayor of Yeager. He is, gosh, he's a great human being. That's all I'll say. Like, he's brilliant. Like, oh my gosh, so many characters. Like, you know, it's a small town, and you wouldn't think there's so many different, like, unique characters within it. But, like, all throughout my life, I've known some very fascinating people, like, and from all different sides of the spectrum. Like, funny people, brilliant people, you know. It's diverse. There's a lot of different people as far as, like, personality goes.
One of the big days on the calendar in McDowell County was Veterans Day, which is coming up tomorrow. There was a parade in Welch. There still is, and I understand it's the longest continuously running annual Veterans Day parade in the country, or something like that. I remember going to that parade to watch it, and the streets were crowded. Parking was very hard to get in the city. Once I think President Truman was in that parade.
Oh, in Welch?
Yes, in Welch. I think there's a photo of him in the library in Welch. The governor would come. I remember seeing Robert F. Kennedy in Welch when he was campaigning.
I mean, JFK was also there at some point, right?
He was also there campaigning. There's a kind of, I don't know how true it is, but West Virginia was critical to Kennedy's election efforts. He may not have won the presidency had he not carried McDowell County. So it was an active place, and it was a place that was important, right? It was important because its coal was needed by industry. But up through the 60s, it was important because it was a significant population center, and it had significant votes.